These days, the news can come at you as fast as Donald Trump sprinting down a stage ramp at West Point. Well, I am here to shout it at you even faster. Well, fast in the first place, I guess. This is Rapid Fire News. First, yesterday, June 19th, was Juneteenth, also known as Jubilee, the day the Union troops finally made it to Texas to abolish slavery, despite the Civil War ending 2 months prior. Ah, Texas. Last in most things and most racist. Well, also in most things. Next. With a 6-3 majority that included newly appointed justice and man rejected from the whitest kids you know for being too white, Neil Gorsuch, the Supreme Court ruled that LGBTQ Americans cannot be fired from their jobs for being who they are. The dissenters in the ruling were Justice Samuel Alito, Justice Clarence Thomas, and newest Justice Brett Kavanaugh, a man known for his love of beer, calendars, and lying under oath when accused of sexual assault. Next. The court also ruled 5-4 that President Trump cannot end legal protections for over 800,000 young immigrants under DACA, a program which grants undocumented immigrants brought to the United States as children permission to live and work lawfully. In a related story, it has been revealed that the concept of repealing DACA was one of Stephen Miller's Horcruxes. I believe he now only has 4 left. Good hunting to the Aurors of America. Next. In Revolution news, the people of Seattle have taken 6 square blocks of the city, designating it the City Hill Autonomous Zone, or CHAZ for short. When asked if residents were worried about the douchey-sounding name, a spokesperson said, well, at least it's not something worse, like Tucker Carlson. Next. Speaking of gross things like Tucker Carlson, Fox News recently put out 2 doctored photos showing the same white man inside of CHAZ, armed with an assault rifle. One picture shows the man outside of the perimeter of CHAZ, and then the same man again in the same position inside of a ransacked Old Navy. The second photo turned out to be 3 pictures poorly photoshopped together. Speaking of 3 things making one, it is still believed that Sean Hannity is actually 3 racist children standing atop one another inside of a bargain store human suit. Next. The Atlanta police chief recently resigned after an officer under her command killed a black man named Rayshard Brooks. Brooks was fleeing an altercation with the officer, who shot Brooks twice in the back. The officer had just gone through 9 hours of de-escalation training. In a related story, America is still asked to remember that despite the uprisings around the country, these murders are still commonplace. Black Lives Matter. Keep fighting. Next. Speaking of cops being terrible, President Trump recently signed a police reform bill incentivizing de-escalation training in police departments and banning the use of chokeholds by an officer unless they feel threatened. Wonderful news, said all of the racist and aggressive cops who will immediately take advantage of that loophole. Next. The Justice Department is trying to seek a court order to block the release of a book by former National Security Advisor and Nazi Lorax from an alternate timeline, John Bolton. The order was sought by the president after he had stated that any conversation anybody has with him is classified. Unfortunately for the president, the book has already been shipped to many people, and the latest draft of the book has been found to not have any currently classified information. When asked for comment, the Russian agents who monitor the listening devices in President Trump's office confirmed that there is indeed no classified information in John Bolton's book. Next. John Bolton's book did reveal that President Trump begged Chinese President Xi Jinping to help him win the 2020 presidential election by purchasing farmed foods from the states that Trump needs to win. The book also showed that President Trump loves the idea of China's concentration camps and that journalists should be jailed to divulge their sources, saying, quote, "These people should be executed. They are scumbags." Now, I bet you're wondering where the joke was in there. Fun fact, there was not one. All of that and other terrible things actually happened, according to John Bolton's book. Remember, America, if it looks like a fascist duck and smells like a fascist duck, then you better goddamn vote in November and remove the fascist duck. The duck's name is Chairman Quackers, by the way. This has been Rapid Fire News. Thanks for listening, America. You can catch America, the podcast, each week on Shway Media and all podcast directories and YouTube as well. The season premiere of America, the podcast will be on July 4th, 2020. Trailer will be out next week. Good night and good fight.